Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening as we call this regular session to order. We'll have the invocation by Councilmember Keller and pledge of the flag. If you would please stand and join us, we'd appreciate it.
We meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize our responsibility to the past and the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and on our efforts here today. May we act wisely and well.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's a quick announcement. We were operating under the rules of procedure that were adopted on December 20th, 2016. If you have a cell phone, please mute it. All correspondence distribution to elected officials should be provided to the city clerk and should include a copy for the city clerk for inclusion in the official record. The meeting schedules for April is April 2nd, 9th, and 16th are all work sessions at 4 p.m. April 23rd is a regular session at 7 p.m. And April 30th, there's no meeting. We have some appointments this evening to the Board of Traffic and Parking. Lou, you want to start?
Mr. Mayor, hereby I move for the appointment of David Holler to the Board of Traffic and Parking with a term to expire September 27, 2019. And move Matthew Chilton to the Historic District Commission with a term to expire June 30, 2022. And move Brian Baraka to the Board of Zoning Appeals, term to expire April 30, 2022.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. While I'm waiting on the list of citizen comments, I will tell you that we're taking item N off of new business for this evening to have further discussion and try to figure it out. So we won't be voting on that tonight. All right, citizen comments. The first one to speak is Karen through Randall.
Good evening. I would like to speak about the City Farmers Market. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for keeping it open and paying the bills because I really enjoy it. I've always been very passionate about it. I had a vendor space there 10 years ago and it was challenging. I can say now that it's exciting. There's a whole new vibe down there. The customers are excited, they're positive. You should come down. It's different. It's very different. So there's a lot going on. The reason that I'm here tonight is to voice my concern about, I do baking and it seems like right now we're just kind of trying to fill real estate. To protect the vendors that are there, I would ask that you would consider limiting the number of people that do the same thing in the future. I know that over the past 10 years I've tried to get into numerous markets from DC through Frederick. Because I'm a baker, they wouldn't allow me in. They already had one baker and that's all they would allow. So I've watched the market over the years. There are times when there are no bakers. There are times when there are 5 bakers. And it seems like it goes through cycles and I suspect that's because 5 bakers can't make it there. So let's try to support the people that we have there so that they stay and the customers are happy. Try to fill the space, but I mean, I'm sure it's a tough job, but Kitty has been wonderful. She's supportive and energetic, and I think we've got a lot of vendors in there now. And I'd like to continue to see that, but I'd also like to continue to make money the way I am. So that's what I had to say.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
I'm going to butcher this name, Nakua.
It's okay. I'm used to it. My name is Nikivia, and I am the owner of Cinnamami. I also am a vendor at the farmer's market. So just to kind of piggyback off of Karen and some other requests that we have, I actually recently met with the business development looking at some downtown space to potentially grow Cinnamommy into a commercial space downtown. And one thing that was mentioned to us is that there is a plan to extend the hours or maybe extend the amount of days that the farmer's market is open. A lot of us are really excited about that opportunity and looking forward to that. In the interim, until we get to that multiple day state, we would like to see an opportunity for us to stay open a little bit longer currently. When we get there at 7 a.m., we do see a lot of our customers that are elderly, like to come in early in the morning, but then there's that, it's very slow from like 7 to 9, and then from about, I would say, 9:30, 10 o'clock to 12, we have a mass, rush of people, and we hear all the time from people who are regulars that they would like to see it stay open a little bit later. Normally, farmers markets are open until about 2 or 3. Also myself, there's a lot of millennials. We have a lot of new vendors there that draw in a lot of millennials, and they don't like to wake up at 7 a.m. And so, we feel like that we have, the farmers market is definitely growing by the newer vendors that are in there, and we do a great job of marketing our own businesses on Facebook and Instagram and those things like that. So we're pulling in this age group of 20s, 30s, 40s that have no idea that the farmers market is there, and they're like, wow, we have a farmers market. They're excited about it, but they're like, we just don't want to get out of bed that early. And so, there's other vendors doing some other things that are drawing crowds that want to come a little bit later. So we just feel like if we had the opportunity to stay open a little bit later, that would be another opportunity to really boost the traffic at the farmers market. And then the last thing, it would just be nice, we don't know what the budget is or things like that, but just a little bit of, I guess you would say, a facelift or just a little bit of improvements to modernize the look of it. Even something as simple as painting the floors would just brighten the whole space in itself. People do comment on the looks of the farmers market, like, oh, we enjoy coming down here. We just wish it didn't look so like dreary or blah or whatever. And so just little improvements like paint or painting the floors, we feel like would really allow the look of it to be more appealing, more welcoming, and that too would allow us to retain traffic and customers if the appearance is a little more welcoming and modernized and up to date. So those two things we wanted to present to you guys, an opportunity to stay open later, and let's see what we can do to modernize and just give the farmers market a fresh look. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Leon?
Oh, he wrote his name on accident.
Okay. Chris Reese?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm not here for the farmers market, but I am a new vendor, and I do concur with what they have said. I am here to just recognize and thank you for the incentive programs through the city. My wife and I, we are starting a coffee shop called Cannon Coffee in August in the public square. And we're very excited about it. We're very excited to move back to our hometown and invest in this community. And one of the stressors of this process has been the financial responsibility and commitment, and just knowing that these programs exist, such as the Invest Hagerstown, the Retail and Restaurant Grant, the Facade Grant, the PEP Incentive. It kind of alleviated some of those stressors and just energized us to get past that and just really kind of put our heads forward and go for it. So I just want to thank you for that. They're great programs, and I just want to recognize the Economic and Development Department and also the Small Business Development Center, two departments that have just been great to work with throughout this process. So that's all.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, that's the only people who have signed up to speak. If anybody else wishes to speak, please step up to the microphone. Okay. Public hearing, proposed changes to the City of Hagerstown water and sewer rate charges.
evening. Tonight, we're going to have a public hearing. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held tonight, Tuesday, March 26, 2019, 7 p.m. in council chambers. Under the proposed increase, water rates will increase 3% for all customers inside and outside for each of the 5 years. Sewer rates will increase for all customers inside and outside and in the joint service area, 2% a year for the 5-year of the proposed rate increase. All interested citizens have the opportunity to give written and oral comments. All citizens are encouraged to intend to comment, of course. Anybody with questions can be submitted in writing to the city clerk, and if anybody has any questions this evening, I'd be happy to answer those.
Anybody have any questions for Nancy?
No, thank you.
Thanks, Nancy.
So now I'll call for anybody who is either opposed or in favor of the increased sewer and water rates. Please step up to the microphone and let us know. Okay, seeing no one, I like public hearings like this. Seeing no one, we'll give Nancy a chance to close it out, or if anybody else still has a question.
You haven't heard my half an hour.
Nope, well then we'll leave the record open for 10 days for any written comment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. We'll close the public hearing. City Administrator's comment.
2 items tonight. Congratulations to newly promoted Lieutenant Mark Renner. It was a great turnout this afternoon. His fellow officers, retirees, family and friends at his swearing-in ceremony. A long-term employee with the city. Congratulations once again to Lieutenant Renner. And on a good note, spring's upon us. The construction at the Barbara Ingram School for the Arts will cause for some closings next week, Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 6, in order for them to do the facade work on their facility. A great opportunity for everyone that's listening, that's here tonight. Park your car in a lot, park somewhere, walk down, take your camera, see what's going on downtown. It's a great investment. Things are moving forward for us. While we're out, stop to restaurants, go to the shops. A great opportunity for everyone to be out in the spring and see what's moving the city of Hagerstown along.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Mr. Usher?
Nothing.
Mr. Heffernan?
Nothing this evening.
Ms. Cole?
I just wanted to thank Karen and Nikivia for coming here tonight. I know that we don't have any kind of regulation right now in the farmer's market with what type of vendors can be there, but I hear your concern. And I think that's a valid point for us to discuss. I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. And as a millennial, I hate functioning before 10:30 a.m. You can normally find me in the farmer's market around 11:30, trying to rush and get everything before they close. So I couldn't agree with you more. We should be open later. I appreciate you guys. And Chris, thank you for your investment into downtown. I am a loyal Public Square Cafe coffee drinker, but I'll go back and forth because I appreciate you coming to downtown and for your support of our programs. That means a lot to hear that they're being utilized the way that we envision and they're helping business owners. It truly does, so thank you.
Mr. Metzen?
And nothing tonight, thank you, Mayor.
So it's really nice to see you guys. Thanks for coming. A year ago, we were wondering what was going to happen with the farmer's market. Now we have a problem like, wait a minute, we have one too many vendors of the same kind and we need to open it longer. So it's really refreshing to, all the efforts that have been going into marketing it and people checking in, and there is a buzz, and I do think that we need to reach a demographic of millennials and that younger generation that want the farmer's market and want fresh produce and baked goods and all that awesome food that's there. So thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. Thank you for being there faithfully every Saturday early morning. And I agree with Councilmember Keller. I do think that it's worth a discussion to have. So thanks.
All right, for me, us older guys go to the farmer's market bright and early. I'm there by 8 a.m. So I like the early morning hours for myself. And Kelly and Emily are both correct. It's a good problem to have when we're getting too many vendors. no matter what they're making, okay? So, I know that I've been going to the farmer's market for probably about 25 years religiously, so it's, something that I want to see continue. Matter of fact, I took my grandson there when he was only 2 to get his first Christmas ornament. So that has special meaning for me. Also, this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in downtown is the Maryland International Film Festival. 150 films over 3 days. Make sure you get down and enjoy them if you can. It'll be a hustle bustle time, and red carpet Friday night starts at 6 p.m.
With the governor.
Right,
Yeah.
and Governor Hogan will be here, and I'll be presenting him with a proclamation for all of his commitment and that he gives to not only film, but for us, period, in Hagerstown, Maryland, especially in downtown. Without the state's commitment, a lot of what's happening down there would not be happening right now. So we definitely appreciate that. And that's all I have.
Will you bring up the, I didn't bring it up, the Vietnam Memorial?
Oh, yes.
Friday at noon, the Vietnam Memorial ribbon cutting will happen on, at, what's the, 820, or 182?
Walnut Street.
Walnut, 182 Walnut, yeah. So if you get a chance, come down. It's, I know those guys, Plank Klein and those guys have worked very hard in putting this together, and they've raised a lot of funds to create this Vietnam Memorial. And I think anybody who can come should come and help celebrate that. So thank you for bringing that up. All right, moving on. We'll adopt the minutes of February 5th, 12th, 19th, and the 26th.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for the approval of the minutes as presented for the mayor and council meetings held on February 5th, 2019, February 12th, 2019, February 19th, 2019, and February 26th, 2019.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move that all the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approve of an ordinance repealing Chapter 189 Public Utility Licenses of the City Code.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for mayor and council to approve an ordinance to repeal Chapter 189 Public Utility Licenses of the City Code. Future license fee collections shall cease upon the effective date of this ordinance.
Second.
Give that to Lou. And the reason that we're doing this is because we collect fees through other regulations. So there was no longer a need to collect this fee. Anybody have anything? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Introduction of an ordinance for the acquisition of 319 Summit Avenue.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to introduce an ordinance for the purchase of property known as 319 Summit Avenue, funding for the acquisition, removal of the structure, and creation of additional green space is from Maryland Program Open Space and city funds as outlined in the attached March 19, 2019 memo.
Second.
Discussion. I just want to bring up that I have a little bit of a concern, not about acquiring the property, but mainly about demolishing it and what we're going to do there. And I don't know if future or further discussion should happen on, and especially whenever we find out what the contaminants may be there. And I think maybe some future discussion on what could possibly be turned into before we tear it down.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I think the main thing is to do the study first and find out what we're dealing with underground and in the structure itself. And but I know my wife and I have commented many times biking by there or walking by there about it would be a great this or a great that or something. So interested to see what it could become.
I just don't think we rushed to tear it down, that's all.
Mhm.
All right. All in favor of the purchase acquisition?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Introduction of an ordinance authorizing general obligation debt to be issued for the purpose of refinancing, reimbursing, or refinancing cost of certain capital projects.
Mr. Mayor, I move to introduce an enabling ordinance authorizing the City of Hagerstown to sell and issue from time to time, upon its full faith and credit, general obligation bonds in one or more series in an original aggregate principal amount not to exceed $3.105 million. Proceeds of the bonds will be used to finance, reimburse, or refinance costs of the projects identified as Section 3B of the ordinance. All projects' debt service are allocated to the general fund. The ordinance also authorizes the sale and issuance from time to time upon the city's full faith and credit of 1, general obligation bond anticipation notes in one or more series in an original aggregate principal amount not to exceed $3.105 million to fund project costs on an interim basis, and 2, general obligation refunding bonds in an original aggregate principal amount not to exceed 130% of the aggregate principal amount of any bonds being refunded in order to reduce debt service costs or achieve debt service restructuring. Detail of any such general obligation bond anticipation notes or general obligation refunding bonds are authorized to be determined or provided for by resolution. Any series of such general obligation bonds, bond anticipation notes, or refunding bonds may be issued as a single bond. Staff is hereby directed to work with the city's financial advisor and bond counsel to determine whether a direct purchase transaction for the bonds as contemplated by the ordinance remains the best financing option for the city, and to develop the necessary detailed resolution and other documents required to prepare for the sale and issuance of the bonds as contemplated by the ordinance, including any request for proposals to determine the purchaser as specified in the ordinance, details and authorizations. Regarding the amount, timing, final method of sale or sales, and other sale details will be outlined in a detailed resolution to be presented to this body for approval at a future date prior to the issuance of the bond.
Second.
Discussion?
Just one note, Mr. Mayor, for full disclosure, I believe that the current bond counsel that you have utilized to draft this legislation is also bond counsel that I'm using through my employer in the town of Myersville. There's obviously no conflict, but just want to make sure people are aware of that.
And Mayor, I would just note for the public certification, out of this $3.1 million, approximately $1.8 million is for fire department vehicle replacement and police radios, another $1 million for the Pangbourne Lake reconstruction. And I only mention that because one of the things in here are the Hagerstown Cultural Trail, and out of the $3.1 million, $50,000 is assigned to that.
Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of a resolution, declaration of official intent to use proceeds of the future borrowing to reimburse cost of the Hagerstown Cultural Trail and Pangbourne Lake reconstruction projects.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for the approval of the resolution evidencing the city's reasonable expectation to reimburse from proceeds of general obligation bonds or any interim financing incurred in anticipation of such bonds, all or a portion of the expenditures paid prior to issuance with respect to the two projects identified in the fiscal year 2019-2023 capital improvement program as Hagerstown Cultural Trail and Pangbourne Lake reconstruction. This resolution preserves the ability of the city under the federal tax code to use proceeds of any such borrowing for such reimbursement purposes. This resolution does not authorize the issuance of such obligations. Such issuance authorization will be undertaken by separate legislation in accordance with applicable law. Staff is hereby directed to work with the city's financial advisor and bond counsel to determine the best financing options for the city and to develop the necessary authorizing ordinance and detailed resolution and other documents required to prepare for sale of the bonds.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Acceptance of offer of dedication of a portion of professional court.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for the approval of a resolution to accept the offer of dedication of .625 acres of land from Nationwide Health Properties LLC at the end of Professional Court cul-de-sac. This acquisition will enable Washington County to construct the bridge over Antietam Creek and extend the street from the existing cul-de-sac to the new bridge. I further authorize staff to issue a general street construction permit to Washington County to permit the connection to existing professional court.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Acceptance of offer of dedication of a portion of Nittany Lions
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for the approval of a resolution to accept the offer of dedication from Beezer Homes Corporation for a portion of Nittany Lion Circle in the Collegiate Acres development. The city will commence full maintenance responsibilities of the segment of the street effective immediately.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. 2019 Summer Play Camp Operations.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for the approval of resolutions to authorize the execution of contracts with the Robert W. Johnson Community Center, Inc., Hagerstown YMCA, and Girls, Inc. of Washington County to operate summer play camps for the 2019 season from June 17th through August 16th. Each camp will serve approximately 60 to 80 youths per day. Funding is from the Parks and Recreation operating budget.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of parking lease for University District parking deck with the state of Maryland.
Mr. Mayor, I would move for the approval of resolution to approve a parking lease agreement between the City of Hagerstown and the State of Maryland for the rental of 5 parking spaces in the University District parking deck for use by the District Court of Maryland. The term of the lease is 2 years and commences on April 1, 2019. The annual rent to be paid to the city is $3,840.00.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of resolution authorizing a Keep America Beautiful affiliation application.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for mayor and city council to approve a resolution authorizing the city of Hagerstown to apply for a Keep America Beautiful affiliation with the Keep America Beautiful organization. This affiliation is a new state requirement of Main Street communities in order to maintain the Main Street designation.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval resolution addendum to the lease agreement for 25 West Church Street.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for the mayor and city council to approve the attached resolution authorizing the addendum to a commercial lease agreement with Valley Co-op for a portion of the property at 25 West Church Street, Hagerstown, Maryland. The addendum will extend the lease agreement until June 30th, 2021.
Second.
Discussion?
Just like to say that I think the Valley Co-op is another bright spot in the farmers market, it's bringing a lot of people in.
Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of Appalachian Regional Commission fiscal year 20 project funding request.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move that the mayor and council authorize the submission of the following projects to the county commissioners for funding from the fiscal year 2020 Appalachian Regional Commission ARC grant. Number 1, professional court widening, requesting $750,000 in ARC funds. Number 2, life safety code upgrades fund, requesting $250,000 in ARC funds. Number 3, third parking deck, requesting $1 million in ARC funds. And number 4, wastewater collection system rehabilitation, requesting $400,000 in ARC funds.
Second.
Give that to Emily. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of reallocating fiscal year 2019 balance of Invest Hagerstown grant programs.
Mr. Mayor, I would move for the mayor and city council to approve allowing the review committee of the Invest Hagerstown grant program to reallocate the balance of funding in the program for the remainder of fiscal year 2019. The review committee may award the balance within any of the following 3 components: the citywide redevelopment grant program, the homeownership grant program, and the rental property rehabilitation grant program.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of an open container exemptions for University of Maryland, USMH Maryland Theater, Hagerstown Hopes Pride, and the August-Oktoberfest.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move that mayor and council approve exemptions from the city of Hagerstown's open container regulation under section 173-6 of the Code of City of Hagerstown for USMH at University Plaza on May 21st, Maryland Theater at University Plaza on May 24th, Hagerstown Hopes in the Central Lot on July 13th, and Oktoberfest in the Central Lot on August 17 and 18.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of an exemption from City Code, Chapter 155, noise.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for the approval of an exemption from the City Code, Chapter 155, noise. This exemption is being granted in accordance with Section 155-5M to the City Chapel and Pastor Zachary Camp for events on Saturday, April 13, 2019, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and events on Sundays from April 21st, 2019 to November 3, 2019, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at 227 East Washington Street, corner of East Washington Street and Cannon Avenue. In addition to the exemption, permits for an assembly and erecting a tent are required.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you.